Hello. In this video, we're going to look at the sales prediction programming problem from your textbook. I've opened the Python idle shell, as you can see, and I've also clicked on File and New File, and this opened the Untitled window where I'm going to be typing my programming code for the sales prediction problem. Now, the problem that we've been given states that a company has determined that its annual profit is typically 23% of total sales. Write a program that asks the user to enter the projected amount of total sales and then displays the profit from that amount. And we're going to use the hint that the percentage can be converted to 0.23 to represent 23%. Okay, so now we want to think about this problem and what we need to do. We're basically going to need to perform 3 steps to accomplish this problem. So let's think about what we might want to do to solve this problem. So I've prepared a slide here where we're given the problem, and now what we want to do is develop 3 steps in our algorithm, and this is one of the key topics in chapter 2 in your textbook. We want to understand how to input total sales into a program. We want to understand how to calculate the profit as a percent of the total sales, and then we want to be able to display the answer, which in this case is the profit. Okay, so how would we go about doing this? So let's recall from studying chapter 2 in our textbook that we can get the input, we can use the input function to get data from the keyboard and from the user into a program. So let's make a comment here about what we're going to do. So as you remember, comment statements begin with a hashtag, okay? And so we're going to get the projected total sales from the user, okay? And we're going to do that by setting up a variable called total sales. And remember, you cannot have a space in your variable names in Python. So instead of a space, I've used the underscore character. So total sales is going to be equal to, using the input statement now, I'm going to choose input, and then I'm going to enter the prompt that I want the user to see. I want them to see this message: enter the projected sales. And I'll leave a little space there, and then I will close that off. Okay, so that would be the first of our steps of our algorithm: input the total sales. Okay, so I think we've accomplished that. So let's think about how we might calculate the profit as a percent of total sales. Okay, so let's come down here and let's put a comment here about what we're doing here. We're going to calculate the profit as 23% of total sales. All right, so let's think about how we might do that. Now, from chapter 2, we learned that we can create variables. So we're going to create a variable called profit, and we're going to set it equal to total sales. So we can just type this again, or we can copy and paste it. In this case, I'm going to copy and paste it. That way I don't have any typographical errors. Because, you know, if you don't spell the variable exactly the same in the second location, that will create a problem. So total sales times 0.23. I'm just utilizing the hint that was provided in the problem as it was stated. So calculate the profit as 23% of total sales. So this line of code would store the multiplication between total sales that was entered by the user, and after we multiply it by 23%, it will be stored in profit. All right, so that leads us to the last step of our algorithm, where we'll be trying to display the profit for this particular problem. So now we're going to add a line here that describes what we're doing in the last step of our algorithm. So we will print the projected profit, and we will do that by using the print function that we studied in chapter 2, and we will print a little message to the user. The projected profit is, and we'll put a dollar sign on our answer, and then we will print the profit. Okay. And it looks like that might be everything. Now I'm just going to go back and kind of check over the program for any errors or whatever. I don't see any. So, but Python will tell me if I've got any syntax errors. So let's go ahead and run this program first as test 1 and see how this goes. This is part of the software development cycle that is begins chapter 2 in your textbook. This is where we have written our pseudocode. We've typed it into Python, and now we're getting ready to test it, and we'll fix any syntax or logic errors if they appear. So let's run the program and see. We will call it sales prediction. Oh, and it's running, so that's good. So we'll enter 1,000 as the amount of projected sales and press enter, and we have an error. So the error is that we didn't use float. And so what we need to do is come over here to, and let me go up here and turn on line numbers. So I'm going to come up here to line 3, and the fact that I didn't use float. So what happened was when I typed my number into this statement, it was stored in total sales as a string instead of a float. And so Python didn't know how to multiply a string times a number, and that's why it threw an error in line 6. So you can see this is where the error occurred, but I'm going to fix that by going to line 3 and enclosing this with a float. Now we're working with currency here, so we know we're going to need to float and not int it, as we studied float, both float and int in chapter 2. So notice that when I open, I have an open parentheses here and another open parentheses here. I must have, be careful about this. You will need to be sure that you have 2 closing parentheses here. That's a typical error made by many beginning students, is they leave off that second. Notice when I put it on there that Python highlighted back here, meaning I've matched my parentheses. So let's try running the program again. This time, hopefully, we won't get any errors. So let's run it. And let's see, I'm going to enter 1,000 again. And the projected profit is $230. This looks correct. So we want to do just a few more things to make this program a little cleaner. We would like, since this is currency, we would like to be seeing two digits after the decimal here. So we're going to change line 9 by enclosing the profit variable inside the format function. So we're going to format profit according to the following format specification, and it's going to be quote. We're going to put in commas if needed. We're going to put in a decimal. We're going to round it at 2 points after the decimal, and we're going to send it a floating point number. And that's what all that means. And then now you can see that in this print, I have open parentheses. I have another open parentheses. So therefore, I'm going to need 2 closing parentheses here. And that should format our profit here with 2 decimals after the 2 zeros after the decimal. So let's run this again and see if that change has made it through our modifications. And we'll click OK and we'll enter 1000 again. And now we're getting a $sign and a decimal and 2 zeros, which is what we wanted. So the only thing left to do in this particular problem is to align our code with what was taught in chapter 2, which is that we typically want an input section, and this is our input section. We want an output section. And we want a processing section. This goes last. I'm going to copy it down there. Okay, so we'll put this down here, and then we'll come back up here, and we'll just change this to processing here. Okay, so that's our 3 sections that chapter 2 in your textbook wants us to learn, is how to create an input section, how to create a processing section, and how to create an output section. Okay, so I think we're almost done. Let's run it again for some different values. That'll give us some good test cases. We've already run it for 1000, and we haven't made any changes over here other than just putting in some additional comments. So the projected sales this time, let's try 10,000. Now, just to help you, you would not enter a comma in this, but now in the output, we have told Python that we do want to see the comma, and this is on line 13 here. This is the comma that we're seeing right there. And let's go ahead with one more. Let's run it for 1 million. And the sales in that case, the projected profit in that case is $230,000. This concludes the video for the sales prediction problem.